Have you eaten garlic today? Or maybe yesterday? Chances are you have, because garlic is considered a miracle bulb. It lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and protects the heart. You hear it everywhere. Eat more of it. But what if I told you that this very garlic, raw, cooked, fermented, or pickled in oil, does more harm than good in many cases? What if small, inconspicuous mistakes in handling garlic cause seniors like you to suffer from digestive problems, drug reactions, or even poisoning without knowing that garlic is behind it? Sounds exaggerated? Unfortunately not. New studies show that 6 common mistakes in handling garlic, mistakes that almost everyone makes, can have dangerous consequences. And doctors rarely talk about this. Only the good side is shown, the promise of a panacea, but no one talks about the risks, especially for older people, whose digestion, liver, circulation, and medications react completely differently than in younger people. It's like a knife. In the right hand, it's a useful tool. In the wrong hand, it's a silent danger. And that's exactly why this video is so important. Because if you love garlic, like many people do, then you deserve the whole truth. Not to demonize it, but to finally use it properly, safely, healthily, and above all, in a way that is tailored to your body over 60. That's why today we're taking a close look at every mistake, from the most common preparation sins, to the wrong time of day, to eat it, to a mistake that, according to studies, can increase the risk of cancer. And the first mistake we're about to reveal concerns an error that even many naturopaths overlook. But before we start, a quick note. If you don't want to miss any of our warnings and health tips for seniors, click subscribe now and become part of our Clar Vital community. We'll help you stay strong, informed, and self-determined. So sit back, think about the last time you used garlic, and let's find out together whether it really was as harmless as it tasted. The first and perhaps most common mistake: heating garlic immediately after cutting or pressing it. Sounds harmless, but it's not, because this is exactly what determines whether garlic heals or simply becomes ineffective, or worse, irritating to the stomach, intestines, or liver. Why? The answer lies in a fascinating substance called allicin. Allicin is the famous sulfur molecule that gives garlic its pungent smell and antibacterial power. It is the main reason why garlic is celebrated as a natural antibiotic. But here's the catch. Allicin is not produced directly in garlic, but only when 2 separate substances, allicin and allinases, react with each other. And that only happens when garlic is cut or pressed. But that's exactly when you throw garlic into a hot pan, destroying these sensitive enzymes. Within seconds. The result: no allicin, no effect, just aroma. And that alone is not a remedy. Studies show that when garlic is heated too early, immediately after being chopped, it loses up to 90% of its bioactive effect. And that is particularly dramatic for older people. They often eat garlic specifically for its benefits for blood pressure, cholesterol, circulation, or the immune system, without realizing that they are negating its effects by eating it at the wrong time. And it goes even further. Without allicin, garlic is not only ineffective, it can even irritate the stomach in sensitive individuals, especially when raw. Ever experienced heartburn after eating garlic? Or flatulence? This is often not due to the garlic itself, but to how you prepared it. That's why experts say, if you want to reap the full benefits, you need to be patient. Freshly pressed garlic should be left to rest for at least 10 minutes before being heated. This gives the allicin time to form completely, allowing it to survive even at lower temperatures. Simply put, frying garlic immediately in oil destroys exactly what makes it healthy. It's like burning a medicine before taking it. A small change in your daily routine can have a big impact. So next time, press, wait, then fry gently. Your heart, blood vessels, and nerves will thank you. And in the next chapter, it gets even more critical. Because the second mistake doesn't just affect effectiveness, it affects safety. According to studies, this preparation mistake can even promote botulinum toxin-producing bacteria. And yes, it happens every day in millions of kitchens. Stay tuned. The second mistake that many people make sounds harmless at first, but it's actually a serious food safety warning: marinating garlic in oil and then storing it at room temperature. Perhaps you've done it yourself or seen it done in your family. Fresh garlic is peeled, drizzled with olive oil, sometimes seasoned with herbs. Then the jar is placed on the counter or in the pantry. It looks delicious, smells wonderful, and seems like a healthy alternative to ready-made garlic products. But this is precisely where an invisible danger lurks: Clostridium botulinum. This bacterium forms deadly neurotoxins in oxygen-depleted environments, and garlic in oil is the perfect breeding ground. The problem isn't the garlic itself, but the combination of raw garlic, oil, and room temperature. Oil keeps oxygen out. The garlic brings spores with it. And without preservation or refrigeration, a silent, invisible process begins. Botulinum toxin is produced, a nerve toxin that can be deadly in even the smallest amounts. And the tricky thing is, you can't see it. No smell, no mold, no color. The first signs could be blurred vision, difficulty swallowing, or respiratory paralysis. It's rare, yes, but when it occurs, it's highly dangerous. And older people with weakened immune systems are particularly susceptible. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and the German Federal Institute for Risk Assessment, there are clear recommendations. Never store raw garlic in oil at room temperature. If you want to make your own garlic oil, it must either be pasteurized or, even better, stored in the refrigerator for no longer than a week. Anything beyond that carries an incalculable risk. Does that sound exaggerated? Unfortunately not. In several documented cases worldwide, homemade garlic oil has caused severe poisoning, including in elderly people who believed they were enjoying something natural and homemade. The lesson: natural is not always safe. Part 1. So if you like garlic and oil, go for ready-made controlled products from the store, or make your own, but store it in a cool place and use it quickly. Garlic is a gift, but as with any gift, it's how you treat it that counts. In the next chapter, we expose another mistake, one that can be particularly dangerous when taking medication. Garlic is not always harmless. It can act as an amplifier or jammer in your body. Ready for the truth? Then stay tuned. The third mistake is almost never discussed, not in the supermarket, not by your family doctor, and certainly not among family members. Combining garlic with medication without knowing what happens in the body. To many this sounds harmless. Garlic is natural, right? How could it change the effect of pills? The answer: dramatically. Garlic is not just a food. It acts like a medicine. Especially high doses of raw garlic or garlic extract affect liver enzymes, blood flow, and even blood clotting. And that is precisely what can lead to dangerous side effects if you take medication regularly. Let's start with blood thinners, such as Marcumar, ASA, or Plavix. Garlic contains sulfur-containing compounds, such as agoni, which have been proven to further thin the blood. This means that if you consume garlic daily and are also taking an anticoagulant, the effect may be increased. The result: bruising, nosebleeds, bleeding gums, or, in the worst case, internal bleeding. Many older people wonder why they suddenly have a bruise without having bumped into anything, or why a small cut just won't stop bleeding. Garlic is often part of the explanation, unnoticed, but effective. But it doesn't stop with blood thinners. Garlic can also alter the effects of blood pressure medications, cholesterol-lowering drugs, and even insulin. Some ingredients lower blood pressure even further, which in combination with medication can lead to dizziness, fatigue, or falls. Others affect the liver enzymes that break down medications. This means that the effect of your pills can be enhanced or weakened depending on when and how you eat garlic. For example, with some statins, cholesterol-lowering drugs, too much garlic can increase the risk of muscle damage. And all this often happens silently. After all, who thinks to tell their doctor that they eat garlic every day? Or that they squeeze a raw clove in the morning because they've heard it's good for the heart? This is precisely where the problem lies. Herbal medicine and conventional medicine meet in the body, but not always peacefully. So here's our advice. If you take medication regularly, even if it's just something for high blood pressure, talk openly with your doctor or pharmacist. If you eat garlic every day, or take garlic supplements, and be especially careful with raw garlic or concentrated extracts. They're way stronger than cooked dishes. In the next chapter, we will talk about a mistake that is often underestimated, especially when used raw, and which can cause serious gastrointestinal problems. If you have ever experienced heartburn, nausea, or bloating after eating garlic, what is about to follow will explain a lot. Stay tuned. The fourth mistake concerns a form of consumption that many consider particularly healthy, but which can cause real problems for seniors. Eating raw garlic on an empty stomach. Perhaps you have tried it yourself or read about it on the internet. A raw clove of garlic in the morning on an empty stomach detoxifies, strengthens the immune system, and acts as a natural antibiotic. And yes, it's true. Raw garlic contains the highest concentration of allicin, a sulfur compound that can inhibit inflammation, fight bacteria, and even promote blood circulation. But what has positive effects in young, robust bodies can have exactly the opposite effect in people over 60, especially in the sensitive digestive tract. This is because the stomach changes with age. The stomach lining becomes thinner, stomach acid production decreases, and sensitivity increases. And this is exactly where raw garlic becomes an irritant. Its sulfur-containing compounds have a strong irritating effect on the stomach lining, especially when they come into contact with an empty stomach. The result: heartburn, stomach pain, flatulence, nausea, and a feeling of pressure in the upper abdomen, symptoms that many dismiss as normal aging, even though they can often be traced directly back to this one mistake. In a study by the University of Mainz, 38% of seniors surveyed reported stomach problems after eating raw garlic, especially when consumed daily, and many were unaware that timing is crucial. This is because when the stomach is empty, there is no protective layer of food to buffer the garlic in the digestive system. This means that the irritating substances come into direct contact with sensitive tissue, like a drop of acid on paper. This is particularly dangerous for people with known gastrointestinal complaints, irritable stomach, gastritis, silent reflux symptoms, or chronic gastritis. In these cases, raw garlic can not only cause discomfort, but also exacerbate existing problems, slow down healing processes, and increase the risk of mucosal damage. And all this often happens gradually, over weeks or months, until you suddenly find that you can no longer tolerate the food, even though you live such a healthy lifestyle. Therefore, our advice is, if you want to eat raw garlic, never do so on an empty stomach. Combine it with bread, avocado, quark, or other milder foods that cushion its effects. And listen to your body. If you experience discomfort after eating raw garlic, it is not a coincidence. It is a clear signal. Not every body needs raw spiciness to stay healthy. In the next chapter, we'll show you a mistake that looks harmless, but can actually damage your skin and mucous membranes. This is especially true if you apply garlic externally, to joints, warts, or wounds. Find out why this can be risky and what you need to watch out for. The fifth mistake is a classic in the world of home remedies, and one of the most underestimated: applying garlic directly to the skin. Perhaps you've heard of it before: garlic for warts, joint pain, insect bites, or even toothaches. The idea sounds tempting. After all, garlic has anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and circulation-promoting properties, so why not use it externally? The truth is, in certain situations and in the right dosage, it can definitely help. But, and this is crucial, if used incorrectly, garlic quickly becomes a corrosive hazard, and older skin is particularly sensitive. Part 2. What many people don't know is that freshly pressed garlic contains a high concentration of sulfur compounds, including allicin, which in high doses kills cells, not only bacteria, but also your own skin cells. This means that if you apply garlic directly to your skin, especially for long periods of time, you risk more than just mild irritation. Chemical burns, blistering, redness, burning, and even open wounds are documented side effects of this supposedly harmless method. And especially in older people, when the skin is thinner, drier, and slower to regenerate, garlic burns can hurt for weeks and promote infection. Dermatological studies have described numerous cases in which patients, including seniors, applied garlic to liver spots, warts, or joints, and ended up in the emergency room the next day with blister-like skin reactions. Why? Because they thought that natural always meant gentle. But that's not true. It becomes particularly risky when garlic is covered with plasters or foil to intensify the effect. This prevents the skin from breathing, increasing the concentration, and severe contact dermatitis can develop after just a few hours. Mucous membranes, such as those in the mouth or genital area, are also particularly sensitive. In these areas, garlic can do more harm than good. So what should you do if you want to use garlic externally? First, always dilute it. For example, with coconut oil, olive oil, or quark. Second, only leave it on for a short time, 10-15 minutes at most. Third, test it on a small area of skin first, for example on the inside of your forearm. And fourth, if you have open wounds, sensitive skin, or known skin conditions, it is better to avoid it altogether. Garlic is powerful, yes, but power also demands respect. Your skin is not a testing ground. The sixth and final mistake follows in the next chapter. An error that many people make when storing garlic. What happens can destroy its effect, or even promote invisible mold growth. Stay tuned, you should know this. The sixth mistake seems trivial at first glance, but it is the reason why many people eat garlic and still don't feel any health benefits. Incorrect storage. Garlic is not just any vegetable that you can leave lying around in the kitchen. It is alive, even after harvesting. Its valuable ingredients, especially the sulfur compounds, are sensitive to light, moisture, heat, and oxygen. If garlic is stored incorrectly, it not only loses its healing properties, but it can even develop mold without you noticing. Many people store garlic in plastic bags, or in the refrigerator, or, even worse, peeled and marinated in oil to save time. All three methods lead to the same consequences. First, a loss of flavor and active ingredients, then rot, then danger. This is because garlic needs air circulation. It is best stored in a dark, dry place at room temperature. In the refrigerator, on the other hand, moisture builds up. The bulbs start to sprout or rot. You may not notice this immediately, but if you discover a black coating when peeling, it is often too late. This can be a sign of invisible mold, including Aspergillus species, which release mycotoxins. These toxins attack the immune system, liver, and mucous membranes, particularly quickly in older people. It gets even more dangerous with a popular practice, marinating garlic cloves in oil, for seasoning or to make garlic oil, for example. It sounds delicious, but it's an ideal biotope for the bacterium Clostridium botulinum. In an oxygen-poor environment such as oil, it can multiply undisturbed and form the strongest known nerve toxin, botulinum toxin. Even tiny amounts can be deadly, especially for weakened or elderly people. And the fatal thing, botulinum toxin, is tasteless and odorless. You don't notice it. By the time paralysis, dizziness, or breathing problems occur, it may already be too late. Therefore, if you want to store garlic, please do so properly. Always store whole bulbs in a dry, airy, and dark place, e.g., in an open clay pot or a wire basket. Never store them in plastic or closed containers. Do not store peeled cloves for later use. And never put them in oil unless you add an acid preservative, e.g., vinegar, and refrigerate them. And even then, only for a few days. When in doubt, fresh is better and safer. Garlic is a gift from nature, but only if you treat it with respect. Otherwise, medicine becomes a risk. In the last chapter, we summarize everything for you once again and show you how to use garlic correctly, safely, and most effectively in everyday life. Stay tuned. Looking back at the 6 most common mistakes made when handling garlic, we see a pattern. It's not malicious intent, but small oversights that have a big impact. Many people eat garlic with the best of intentions, for their heart, circulation, and immune system, and don't realize that they are undoing all that good by how they prepare, store, or combine it. So let's go over the most important points again together, but this time as a guide to help you really use garlic as a remedy in everyday life. First, chop it up and then wait. Don't heat it right away. Give the allicin at least 10 minutes to form before cooking or frying the garlic. This will preserve the most important active ingredients. Second, don't stock up on garlic oil. Never put raw cloves in oil and leave them to stand for weeks. The risk of botulism is real. If you want flavored oil, only prepare it fresh, with vinegar, refrigerate it, and use it within a few days. Third, never eat garlic on an empty stomach. This can cause irritation, especially in older people. It is always better to combine it with some food and listen to your body. Everyone reacts differently. Fourthly, be careful with blood thinners. Garlic can increase their effect. If you are taking medications such as Marcumur, Eliquis, or aspirin, discuss your garlic consumption with your doctor. Fifth, do not place directly on the skin. As tempting as home remedies sometimes are, garlic can cause burns, especially on older, sensitive skin. Dilute, test, and never apply overnight. Sixth, store properly. Keep in a dark, dry, well-ventilated place, never in the refrigerator or in plastic. Never store peeled cloves. Use them immediately. If you take all this to heart, garlic will become what it is meant to be, a natural supporter for your blood vessels, your immune system, your digestion, and perhaps even your zest for life. Because as my grandmother always said, those who honor garlic rarely need a doctor, and she lived to be 94. Don't forget one thing, health is not a big secret. It is often just the result of small, smart decisions. and garlic, when used correctly, is one of them. Stay brave, stay alert, and keep eating garlic. But now with knowledge, not just hope. Once you leave all that behind, the mistakes, the myths, the uncertainties, something amazing remains. Garlic as a silent helper, not a miracle cure, not a magic trick, but a food that has stood for thousands of years for exactly what we need in old age. Strength from within. Because what exactly does garlic do in a body over 60? Let's start with the heart. Studies show that garlic can lower blood pressure by dilating blood vessels and improving the elasticity of the arteries. This is particularly important when the heart has to pump against narrow vessels every day. Just 2 to 3 cloves a day can lower blood pressure by 5 to 10 mmHg, sometimes equivalent to the effect of a mild medication. And then there's cholesterol. Garlic helps lower bad LDL levels while supporting the protective function of good HDL. This reduces the long-term risk of heart attack and stroke, both major dangers in old age. And it works even deeper. Garlic inhibits inflammation. Chronic, silent inflammation is considered a contributing factor to numerous age-related diseases, from arthritis to Alzheimer's. Garlic slows down this internal fire, according to research, by activating certain enzymes in the intestines and blood. But the effect goes beyond the physical. Garlic also strengthens confidence in your own influence. If you make a conscious decision, I'm not just eating this because it's tradition, but because I want to help my body, then it's more than just nutrition. It's self-care. Another gift from garlic. Healthy gut flora. Garlic has a prebiotic effect. It nourishes the good bacteria in the gut, and these in turn are crucial for a strong immune system, stable mood, and good nutrient absorption. This is especially valuable in old age, when many medications attack the intestinal flora. And last but not least, garlic gives you courage. Sounds strange? But it's true, because it has a long history. People in wars, on migrations, in poverty, they often had nothing but bread, water, and garlic, and they survived. Perhaps you can sense this when the smell fills the kitchen. This quiet strength, this message. You don't need much, just the right things. Garlic is not for every day in large quantities, but it is for every day in moderation. And with every bite, you are saying, I take care of myself. And it's never too late to do that. In the last chapter, we'll show you a few more creative, senior-friendly recipe ideas that will help you incorporate garlic safely and deliciously into your everyday life, without stomach problems, but with full effect. Now that you know how to use garlic properly, there's only one question left. How can I incorporate it into my everyday life in a way that's regular, tasty, and easy to digest? After all, the best theory is useless if it doesn't make it into everyday life, onto your plate, into your pot, and into your smile after the first bite. So here are a few simple, senior-friendly ideas on how to use garlic gently but effectively, without stomach problems, without burping, without social anxiety. Let's start with breakfast. Many people can't tolerate raw garlic in the morning. Understandable. But half a finely grated clove in cottage cheese, mixed with fresh herbs and a squeeze of lemon juice, tastes mild, is easy to digest, and can be spread on a piece of whole grain bread. Add some cucumber or radishes, and you have a heart-healthy start to the day. For lunch, try garlic with roasted vegetables. Important, slice the garlic thinly. Leave to stand for 10 minutes, and only add to the vegetables shortly before the end of the cooking time. This preserves the allicin and keeps the flavor mild. Particularly good, fennel, carrots, zucchini, a little turmeric, and a teaspoon of olive oil. Another good idea, garlic as a broth. If you have no teeth or have trouble chewing, you can cook a soup with onion, leek, celery, and garlic, adding the garlic at the very end, and then puree everything until smooth. This makes it easy on the stomach, but still effective. In the evening, try a garlic yogurt dip. Crush a small clove, let it rest for 10 minutes, then mix with plain yogurt, a little salt, pepper, olive oil, and dill. Serve with a few boiled potatoes, or a piece of toasted whole grain bread. A light dinner that will make your gut happy. And if you want to start very carefully, garlic milk. It sounds unusual, but it has a calming effect on the stomach and intestines. Simply add a peeled, crushed clove to 250 ml of milk. Heat gently, do not boil, leave to steep for 10 minutes. Strain and drink lukewarm. It is particularly beneficial in the evening, and also helps with coughs. Finally, if you do find that you can't tolerate garlic, don't beat yourself up about it. Everyone is different. It's not about stubbornly eating healthily, but about finding a gentle, conscious path to your own strength. With love, experience, and patience. Garlic is not a panacea, but it is a symbol of grounding, simplicity, and care, and perhaps a small daily act of self-respect. Stay healthy and stay true to yourself.